Bernie Sanders details Trump's efforts to steal election in urgent call to action. Just an election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, the Vermont senator and Democratic runner-up said in remarks on Thursday. This is an election between Donald Trump and democracy must win. I think this is a great move by Sanders. Good speech with a necessary call to action. This is the key issue at hand. There's so many shenanigans that Trump and his ilk are going to try and pull. It's going to test our country like nothing before. FL is going to be at the center of shenanigans and maybe TX. It's a scary moment we're living through. Clarification PS edit, don't just vote, be sure to verify it's counted, and if your recording office isn't far from you, consider dropping your ballot off there if they allow. We can't fully trust mail at this point. Please get others to do the same. We may never have a presidential election of more importance in our lifetime, at least I hope we don't. Also consider ranked choice voting in your state if you don't have it. It's not perfect, but it's better than what we have now. I can see the coronavirus, Supreme Court, and Trump's overt undermining of democracy greatly galvanizing Democrats and ensuring a strong turnout this year. We just have to hope that there isn't enough voter suppression or outright fraud from domestic or foreign enemies to disrupt the will of the people. And the will of the people is to move on from Trump. Well, this time around I don't see the Reddit popular opinion being Bernie or bust, so it does make me hopeful Trump will be gone. Edit, I understand not everyone is jazzed about Biden. But for any future where you can vote for your AOCs, you'll need a democracy, and Biden is the only one promising that. I don't like Biden, but he'll be the recipient of my vote against Trump all the same, because I want there to still be a democracy in 4 years when it's time to vote again. I beg you, every one of you, to please join me in this Hail Mary to save our country. I'm more enthusiastic about voting for Biden than I was for Hillary, so I say that's a plus. I have a theory that the unrest in Belarus is a test. What would happen if we rigged an absurd result? Then we would gain insight on how to manage it, for example, turning groups against each other, exploiting weaknesses and sowing confusion. Belarus has always been Russia's testing ground, but mostly for Russia's own politics. But why not for other countries too? If Trump managed to win, say, New Jersey, it would be beyond belief. But rigging things can give you wildly unpredictable outcomes. The unrest would be enormous, with the credibility of the whole election thrown into doubt. Thus, knowing how to control that unrest requires a laboratory first. Edit, yes, Lukashenko has won by similar margins before. What makes this year a little different is that there was a visibly strong opposition movement, making the result more unbelievable than before. It's likely that this visibility may have very well been orchestrated by Russia as well. For more on how Russia tends to help both sides, read about Nonlinear War, a strategy thought up by Vladislav Surkov. I'm in North Jersey, like 15 minutes from the city. We're incredibly blue here, but if I drive literally 15 minutes away from the city, I start seeing Trump bumper stickers and signs. On top of that, at the public meetings where you can speak to the mayor, always forget the name, there is always at least one Trump supporter. I was not jazzed about Biden in February. I'm hella ready to vote for him now. As much as I love Bernie, you can read tons of accounts, Hillary's being the most prominent, Her comments sounded like she was definitely bitter, but I'd guess there is plenty of truth to them, of other senators and politicians who hate Bernie behind his back or even openly because he's hard to work with. You know who actually likes Bernie on a personal level, which still blows my mind? Joe Biden. They disagree on shit politically, but Biden brought Sanders, Warren, Ayok, and others in for policy shit. Hillary never would have done that. She adopted a few of his policies that polled well and otherwise told him to ck off. Biden wants to win, and he knows that Bernie, Ayok, Warren etc. are the ones that are popular with people that might not normally be sold on him. In other news, when I asked my dad about Trump's apparent intention to stay in office regardless of the election results, his reaction was, "Thank God. We got someone in there who's really standing up to the radicals." When I asked, "Isn't it more radical to abandon democracy just to keep your party in power?" he hand-waved it away and said, "You're just buying into the mainstream media's narrative. That's all fake news. So that's how I'm doing. How about you guys?" That's the problem. Fear tactics and tribalism have created a circular logic conundrum that these people are unwilling to give up on. So bad faith is the weapon that they can use to never have to actually answer a counterpoint. Identical, my dad. At this point, even when I show him a video proving something he said isn't made up, he brings up Hillary or the left in some vague way. Makes me insane. I went through Biden's policies one by one. My dad agreed with all of them. And then said he's voting for Trump. When I asked why, he claimed it was because Biden was racist. That's definitely not the reason, because my dad is fucking racist. I played along and said I didn't believe he was and that Trump was racist. Well, at least he's open about it. Then I played the video of Trump saying he's the least racist person ever, proving that he's not open about it. Guess who's still voting for Trump? Like, dude, I just proved to you that you are a Democrat. My relationship with my parents is so strained. They only read extremist websites, only watch Fox News, and don't really listen to what I say. My dad said that even though Trump is a horrible person, it's the policies he's voting for. Trump has a good record, according to my dad. And the Democrats will destroy America by opening the borders to the world and making everything free. When I asked about Trump declaring already that he won't accept a loss, my dad said, well, if he said that, that was inappropriate. What the fuck do you do with that? What's worse is they legitimately think their bad faith arguments are reasonable, logical, and sound. The Republicans, as in the party elite, are doing a great job as far as they're concerned. Capture every public good possible and use it to generate returns for their donors/investors/themselves. By God, they've almost captured US democracy as a whole. Talk about a solid investment. Can you be American and against the Constitution, Dad? It's the socialists who want to destroy the Constitution. If Trump doesn't win, everything is doomed. The country is dead. The Constitution is dead. The US will be a socialist autocracy. This election is for all of the marbles, so I fully expect the president to resist no matter what. Actual paraphrase: since I asked about the Constitution way back during impeachment and whether Congress should even be allowed to impeach. How can radical and mainstream be together? Because the radical left has taken over the media. The media in China is both radical and mainstream, and that's what they are trying to do here as well. Made that one up. Arguing in bad faith is so easy, lol, come on, give me a hard one. The only way is to try to avoid talking politics and try to focus the blame on the powerful forces that poisoned people's minds. That's how I dealt with Brexit it on the other side of the pond. And seeing it tear apart families and friendship groups. My parents didn't vote for it. But lots of their friends did. Before the referendum I met lots of them. Pleasant people generally. Well off. Enjoying retirement and grandkids. Then like 6 of them went off the fucking deep end. My mum was heartbroken. She said in 20 years the entire EU thing never came up once. Suddenly these nice people were rabidly blaming all the country's problems on immigrants and the EU. Calling people traitors and brainwashed. Powerful smart people used social media to tip the balance slightly in their favor and capitalized on people's fears and deflected blame. That's who you should focus on. How I wish it were true. The Illuminati would do a better job than Republicans.